quick video on sort of this power supply. It's not a well, technically it's not a review of the power supply, but what it is that I've been using it for the last couple of weeks and just sick and tired of how loud the fan is on as soon as it starts drawing above 1.5 amp. So I'll quickly sort of show you how to overcome that problem, and by replacing the fan. But first thing first is, let me just power on the unit. Okay, so it's powered on. It's set at 3.5 amp. Maximum is 32 volt by 5 amp basically. So that's what the output of the power supply is. It's hooked onto this laptop. So it's drawing literally 0.06 amp. Now I'm going to put the microphone at the back of the fan. So it's turned on now. I'm not going to be able to see anything. You can just about hear the fan. But watch what happens as soon as I turn the laptop on. So okay, so now it's just gone below 1.5 amp, so it's just the amp is fluctuating, so the fan is sort of, so let me give you a taste of what the factory fitted fan is like. See, it's just absolute bonkers. So look at this. I mean, you can hear it coming, going. It's so annoying, this actually. So how do we overcome this issue? Okay, well, first thing first is let me sort of switch this off. Okay, let it start first. Right, what I've done is I've actually bought this fan. It's 12 volt. I've already sort of done the wiring side of it, so it'll be straight plug and play, and you can probably hear the fan sort of going, sounding like a Hoover basically. So let's shut this down. Just hang fire. This is, I think it's 18 decibel, so it's going to be whisper quiet. Right, let's power this off, move this laptop along, take it off the main so I don't electrocute myself. Okay, let's bring this up here. Let me just make sure that you're getting a nice view. Okay, I have already undone the screws just to make things quicker, otherwise I'll be here all day sort of undoing this, undoing that, so that's that. Okay, I'm going to, as I said, I've put a few screws, few screws been put back on just to hold the fan in place. So let's just crack on with this. In fact, I'm going to use my electric screwdriver. Okay. Here, let's drop this down. Okay, you can see what I'm doing. Yes, you can. As I said, this has been dismantled, and I have been playing around with it for a bit, but unfortunately the best way around it is to replace the fan. And this fan is straightforward. Uh-oh, just make sure I don't drop the screws. I'm going to get into a lot of trouble. Unplug it off the connector. And it sort of comes with this sort of connector at the whatever it is that. Okay, and it's a 2-pin fan. It's two sort of positive and negative. It doesn't have a PMW function. However, the fan what I'm using does have PMW function, but what I've done is I've actually left the third cable for the PMW and not connected to anything basically. So and there we are. Okay, so this is going to go in, but first thing first is make sure that the orientation of the cables are right. So that's an identical connector with the positive on the positive right hand side and the negative on the left hand side. Okay, so let's bang that on. And the other thing to remember is that the fan orientation is not like this, so the air is not blowing onto it, it's blowing out, so this should be facing sort of towards the back. So now the question is that it's going to go back in like this, so I need to sort of put it in this orientation. And get this in, click it in, put the screws back. It's a Be Quiet fan, so I mean, to be quite honest with you, I have huge expectation from this. Huge expectation. What's going on here? Why is it? Let's try another screw. Yep. So I must have picked up the wrong screw for the wrong slot. As they should all go in regardless of what order, but by the look of it, it's not. So let's. Yep. That's gone in with ease. Let's try this one on this end and see if this does it. Yep. Just a firm tight. And the final one. Yep. So they're going in nicely. Just a firm tight will do. Okay, I'm happy with that. Right, okay. Now I'll drop the fan in nice and gently. Make sure I don't damage anything else. Okay. Now, because it's the first time I'm plugging the fan in, I'm going to have to create. It's going to be. It will take a bit of an effort to try and get the screws in. Just bear with me. Okay, so very good. Hasn't taken that much of an effort. Okay, the last screw. Beautiful. Now I just need to plug the fan connector back on. Okay, I'm going to grab myself a cable tie. A nice nylon type, so okay, that'll keep it in place, hopefully. Snip off the okay, now let's we need to test the unit. So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to put all the screws back in, just put the cover back back in as I did it before and power up the unit. Just plug these cables in. Hope you're capturing all this. Camera. Okay, now let's bring back this laptop. Plug it in. Power up the unit. Show you it's powered up. No, it's not. Hang on. I didn't connect the mains. The mains connected. Power supply is on. And that's the level of noise on idle. I'm going to turn the laptop on now. And I've turned it on. That's the full speed of the fan. And it's drawing 1.6 amp. As close as possible. So that should be good enough. Now, this fan is a cheap Chinese fan. Obviously everything's manufactured in China, but it's a 12 volt 0.20 amp sleeve bearing, and this is factory fitted fan. It's very noisy, and as I've shown you before, this is what I've used. Now remember, this fan comes with three. You got your negative, positive, and your PWM pin. So you need to eliminate the PWM pin and find the positive and a negative. If you inject voltage, I mean, I used another bench power supply to figure out which is positive and negative, and which is PWM. It's not sort of labelled on the actual connector itself. So when you probe onto the negative and the positive, the fan will run as little as 0.3 volt. But when you actually probe onto, probe onto the PWM pin, the fan will not start up until you inject about 5 volts upwards. So just bear that in mind. So the PWM pin, you need to get rid of that. Just use the other two, and the normal plus line and the negative line. The plus line, you only need to inject about 3 to 4 volt, and you'll see the fan sort of kicking on straight away. But with the PMW, and I repeat myself, unfortunately you have to inject a good minimum 6 volts before. So that's how you would figure out that that is not the that is not the 12 volt rail for the fan itself, basically. So that's that, and that's the specification of the fan what I've used. Hope the camera's getting all that. I hope it is. Or is it? And it's quiet, super duper quiet. You know, so that's all. Thank you very much for watching. Bye for now. Oh, just one other thing. The power supply is from circuitspecialist.eu. Now don't get me wrong, this is a good sort of a cheap power supply. I think it's in the region of about £100–110, something like that, or you know, within that region. And I think it's okay for its price, but I wasn't sort of happy with the fan, so that's why it was stripped down and get rid of the OEM fan. Thank you. Bye for now. It's just to follow up on this power supply, the Circuit Specialist Csi3005T. I did replace the fan on it with a Pure Wing 2, which is an 80 millimeter fan, and the unit has gone a lot quieter, although that you can't sort of tell by listening into the sound through the recording what I did previously, but it has gone a lot quieter. Now, the one thing that I forgot to sort of highlight is the fact that the temperature. Now, as you can see here, this is your heat spreader for the MOSFETs that's sort of giving out all the voltages and so on and so forth, basically. So they do sort of generate enormous amount of heat. So, in all honesty, I cannot tell a slight difference in terms of the temperature from the stock fan to this, but the main purpose why I actually exchanged the fan was purely due to the fact that it was extremely noisy, and I mean extremely noisy. So, you know, happy, everything's good. What I have done is I've done a quick mod. There's a MOSFET here. I've put a little bit of aluminium tape, or aluminium sort of not tape, aluminium piece, and screwed it on with a bit of a thermal compound, because that was running a little bit hotter than what I would have expected. So hopefully this will sort of prolong its life expectancy. There we go. I don't know if you can see that, but it's just about there. Now be very careful that this is an electronic device. It's open. You're not supposed to be messing about with it. You've got 230 volts coming in. You will electrocute yourself and kill yourself. So be careful. You do these sort of things at your own risk. It needs to be done by somebody who's competent, who has a lot of experience in electronic repairs, things like that. Don't just try this out at home. That's all. Thank you.